One thing you might notice when looking at images made on Kodak Colorplus, or even the branding on the film canister, is that it gives an older look compared to some of Kodak's other film stocks. With Kodak Color 200 printed on the film canister, I was always curious about the origins of this film stock the first time I shot it around 5 years ago. So thanks for joining everyone, and I hope you're all doing well. Today I just want to share a little bit about this great, affordable budget film stock from Kodak and how I've always attributed it to more of a vintage look compared to other film stocks. And after investigating further throughout the years, I found information that leads me to believe that Kodak Colorplus is the oldest color film emulsion that Kodak is currently making in terms of negative films. And this is why I think the branding Kodak Color is still printed on the film canisters, because it's a follow-up to some previous versions of the film that were branded as Kodak Color with various options including Kodak Color VR, VR2, VRG, which came in various speeds and what eventually seems to have culminated in the current version that we know today. So for anyone who actually enjoys this sort of stuff and wants to nerd out a little bit more, I've linked a couple of websites with some great information in the description of this video if you want to read up a little bit more. There's a particularly great website called photomemorabilia.co.uk, which I've also linked, and it has a wealth of information on film technical facts and history. So some notable characteristics that I've found about Kodak Colorplus 200 and enjoy are that it has a sort of flatter and more muted look compared to some of the other Kodak film stocks. I especially notice a unique way that Colorplus renders blues, which you'll notice a lot in skies, for example. So some colors like the blues have a more muted look with less luminance or brightness compared to something like portrait, for example. And Colorplus 200 has an overall warm look, which I personally enjoy. The grain structure is also rougher than any other equivalent 200 speed films that I've tried, but overall the contrast, detail, and performance is good. Exposure latitude might lag behind some other film stocks just a little bit, so it can look flat and muddy if you don't give it enough light, which is true for all color negative film, but I noticed that even more so with Colorplus 200. What I find is if I shoot it in cloudy or overcast conditions, the images do look like they were shot on an overcast day, which makes it a little bit more true to life compared to something which enhances the look a little bit. So in terms of that exposure latitude, you don't get as much shadow detail as some other films like Portra, which might give you an extra half a stop or so, but it still can be overexposed to tame some of that grain and lift the shadow detail a bit. As long as you don't mind losing a little bit of color information in the highlights, I've still overexposed Colorplus with good success. But metering it normally in high contrast scenes, those shadows will lose a little bit of detail, but that can give you an interesting look, which is a little bit like slide film in my eyes. So overall, I found that Kodak Colorplus 200 definitely excels in outdoor sunny conditions to really bring out the vibrance of the colors. And ever since first noticing this aspect, I started casually shooting a series of images in 2017 until late last year for an upcoming zine called the Sun-Dried Strip, which was all shot outdoors in direct sunlight. So you can edit or print this film to really bring out the colors, and it gives a beautiful sort of classic look. It can work well in almost any situation, including nature or even portraits, which definitely excel when shot outdoors in the sunlight. So if you don't mind that little bit of extra grain in your images and what I would describe as that slightly more vintage look, it's definitely worth giving Colorplus 200 a try. So a lot of people might compare it to something like Kodak Gold 200, a portion of whom might believe that they're actually the same emulsion. Now, of course, I don't know for sure, but in my observation, the negatives actually have a different code imprinted on them. And also when I've done some side-by-side comparisons, really zooming in to some similar images or areas of tonality from each of the two different film emulsions at the same resolution, scanned on the same scanner, I generally notice more grain in the Kodak Colorplus 200 with a rougher structure. I've even tried to enhance this by converting them to black and white, sharpening the grain a little bit, and looking across a few different images zoomed in at 100%, and I'll generally notice that slightly different and rougher grain structure in Colorplus 200 as compared to the slightly smoother grain in Kodak Gold 200. Now, of course, this isn't scientific and it could be confirmation bias, but I'm keen to hear what you think. Anyone out there who has more knowledge than me, I have heard in interviews with people from Kodak Alaris, for example, that Kodak Colorplus is indeed an older emulsion based on Kodak Color. And I, in my usage of both films, do notice a fair difference in the color rendering from both those emulsions. But again, I'm keen to hear what your thoughts are. Do you prefer Kodak Gold 200 over Colorplus? They have different prices and availabilities throughout the world. I've always enjoyed Colorplus 200 when it is available for a good price. I know that recently availability has been sort of slim, but when you can get your hands on Colorplus 200, I think it's a great film for that slightly vintage, old school sort of look that I know many people enjoy. So what are your thoughts? Is Kodak Colorplus also one of your favorite budget film stocks? I really do enjoy Colorplus 200 for that warmer look and slightly more classic rendering of colors when compared to something like Fuji C200. It's great to have both options out there, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this brief video with my thoughts on Colorplus 200, and if you are interested in my upcoming zine all shot on this great film stock, I'll add a link in the description of this video when it is available for pre-order or sale. It's not quite ready yet, but I have been working on it for a while. I've done a few test prints and it's almost ready to go up on the website for pre-order. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more videos like this, or even join the Pushing Film Discord server, which I've also linked in the description. I've got some other film reviews on the channel, and I really appreciate you joining if you are here for the first time or if you're a regular subscriber. So thanks again for watching another Pushing Film video. I'm Hashim, and I'll see you next time.